Welcome to Inside the Skev, and I'm your host, Aaron Masliansky. Today we are speaking with David Lloyd, the founder of David Lloyd Travel. He has over 30 years of experience and brings his creative and contemporary experience to every single project. Globally and philanthropically minded, his bespoke experiences are both sustainable and modern. No two ventures are the same because you are working with the best when you work with David. And I am so excited to speak with you, David, about what you do and the different experiences that you provide. So thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me on.
It's a pleasure. And, you know, it's interesting, and I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to speak with you because we actually met on March 13th of 2020, and no one knew what was going to happen with the pandemic, and we were talking about your business and everything else. And, you know, for the longest time, it was very hard for people to travel, but now I think the world has gotten back to some type of normal. And, you know, for people who are looking to really take advantage of the opportunities to go see places and see it in a way that is like no other way, you are the right person to speak to.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. People are starting to travel again. My clients generally have always traveled, no matter what. They've traveled private mostly. I did a lot of private travel as far as jets go. In fact, it was very hard to get a jet during the pandemic. Just in case you were interested, they were all being used. So if you wanted to get a jet, even NetJets was having problems sourcing jets because people didn't want to fly public or they didn't want to be on regular scheduled air.
So people were using private jets a lot throughout the pandemic. I mean, have you seen that go down a little bit, or is that still?
They're becoming available. But a year ago, I would have people calling to get them a jet to go from point A to point B, and my jet guy he'd say, there's just nothing out there.
Wow.
Everything was already in the air. So it was complicated for a long time. Now they're back. You can get a decent price on a jet these days.
Yeah. So, but you have access to these and everything, but how did you even get into this business? How do you know all these different people for what you do? I mean, we'll get into that a little bit.
Wow. Well, I started out because I traveled a lot when I was a child. My father moved our family to Madagascar when I was 12 years old, and I went off to boarding school. But every time we got a chance, we'd travel, to Europe and Africa, and so I'd been traveling all my life. And when I came back to the United States to start my education, I had a very hard time trying to figure out what I wanted to major in because I had no clue. And the one thing I did know a lot about was travel. So after 6 years of university, I decided to go to travel school, and I became a travel agent. And I knew a lot about things internationally. So slowly, I started working with a clientele that wanted my knowledge. I was young and I was energetic, and I sort of developed a clientele that had the money to go places, and I had the knowledge of how to send them there and what to do when they get there. So that's sort of how I morphed into what I'm doing now, which is pretty much the high-end philanthropic travel. We do incredible trips where we create really unbelievable scenarios. We use venues that we have never been used before. We meet people that can help us create experiences that are one of a kind.
What's an example of that?
Wow. I've been doing this for almost 30 years. I have a lot of examples. Yeah. I have one client, they take 2 trips a year. We have a $1.2 million annual budget. We try very hard I try very hard to make it a trip that absolutely nobody has ever done before. So it's a lot of sort of thinking outside the box and working with people who are very proud of their environment. we want them to go someplace, but not be a tourist. We want them to be travelers and sort of try to glean as much from the population and the location as they can. So they come back feeling like they've learned something.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing that, we've tried to find an underserved charity in the locations that we're at, which give us an incredible entree into the local people and their daily lives. So with that, we try to meet the people that we're giving the money to, and we find out what we can do to better enhance their lives so that we leave them better off than they were when we got there. Mm-hmm. So often tourists just arrive and they eat and they, leave, and they've pretty much just left their garbage and they didn't really learn anything. So we try to get more involved with the location.
What's an example of some of the philanthropic things that you've done?
Well, a perfect example is Ayers Rock in Australia. We donated a senior center to an Aboriginal village near Ayers Rock. It's closed to the public, and it's closed to Australians. I mean, only the Aboriginals are allowed in. But because of our donation, got to spend a day in the village with the Aboriginal people. We also got early access to a pretty much undiscovered cave painting.
Wow.
Yeah, that really the general public hasn't even heard about yet because it's on private land. So the benefits outweigh the amount we paid for the donation. The senior center we built, it served a great purpose because the seniors needed a sheltered, screened-in place to relax, and spend their days. And we also included a few computers for the younger generation to take advantage of. So that was one example of how we mixed philanthropic aspect with our travel. Also, we stopped in to see Kangaroo Dundee. I don't know if you've ever seen the show on PBS, but it's this man who rescues baby kangaroos out of their dead mother's pouches on the side of the road, and then he raises them in this rescue.
Oh, and wow.
I had seen that on PBS, and I thought, now that's something cool. And when I knew my clients were going to be going there, I arranged to have our jet drop into Alice Springs, where his location is.
It's a different way of traveling. My God, it's amazing. Do you also do trips where people do go and see the resorts and stuff like that? Or is it really these types of experiences where...
Oh, no. I pick out literally every aspect of the trip.
Yeah.
I never send them to a property I haven't been to. I like to make sure that the clients are getting what they're used to. The sheets, I look through the minibar, make sure that, everything in the room is exactly what we want it to be. My client owned a bottling company for a certain brand of soda, and I had to make sure that the competing brand was not in the minibar. I had to change out any, chips or candy bars or anything that was not, the brand. I'd go through and make sure that the towels, the sheets, choose the arrangement, the flower arrangements for the rooms to make sure that they matched, that they were things that they liked, that they weren't allergic to. Worked with chefs often to create certain meals that would go with the program that we're having. And of course we have allergies, as most families have somebody with an allergy. And
Yep.
we would make sure that they didn't use whatever the product was that they couldn't consume.
So you travel to these areas before anything goes out?
Yeah, I went between 6 to 9 months prior to the client and walked the program.
How many trips do you typically do a year?
2 or 3.
Okay.
Really, that's pretty much my strong suit when it comes to amounts of programs. Anything more, and I might be too busy. There's so much involved with every single trip. I have to choose the DMC, the destination management company. that I work with, I have to choose a security company. If we're going to someplace I feel we need security, I've got to hire ghosts to make sure that the client is protected, whether they know it or not. That's just like the tip of the iceberg.
So you're based here in Evanston, which is amazing, and I've spoken about this on the show, how so many people here are so globally connected, and you're one of them. How often are you actually in Evanston, or are you traveling most of the year?
Oh, no, I'm here most of the time. I am traveling between 3 to 4 months to try to do, because every time I go on a program, scouting trip, that's going to be 3 to 4 weeks, because it takes time to uncover the absolute best. There could be these big name properties, but if I don't like them, if they don't exude the right qualities, if they don't nurture and help with the local people or the environment, I'm not interested in using them. I want to use historically good properties, and the client was very much behind me on that. That was a great thing, because they didn't want to stay in a chain. They always wanted to stay in something that was as good as, your Four Seasons or your Ritz's, but locally owned and locally staffed. That was very important to them.
And to get that unique experience. And like you said, even with the private jet, I imagine that you have helicopters flying and going different places so you can get to some of these more remote locations more comfortably.
Oh yeah, a lot of helicopters. We had some rules. I had rules that I had to adhere to, and one of them was no more than an hour and a half on a transfer bus. So if we flew into an airport and the resort was 2 hours away by bus or vehicle of some sort, then I'd have to have helicopters. The client just wasn't going to. They would frequently say, we don't want to sit on a plane for 16 hours to sit on a bus for another 2 hours. We want to get to where we're going.
Yeah, and if you have a budget of $1.5 million, that's
it's not hard.
It's not hard to get a helicopter.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Just to think in this way of travel as opposed to what most people do. One of the things that I'm involved in is global real estate. I'm the chairman of the Global Real Estate Council at the Chicago Association of Realtors, and we are planning a trade mission, hopefully for next year. We're talking about Costa Rica. So inside scoop to the Inside the Skev listeners here. But we're looking at it and going from one side of the country to the other and probably having to take a bus to go across, and it's about 5 hours, and you're going through some pretty hilly and mountainous areas, and doesn't sound too comfortable. I'd rather be flying from one side to the next, but that's not even something you'd consider in these types of trips.
It all depends on what we're doing. Like Costa Rica, you're really going to want to drive at least part of the way, because there's the zip lining experience, there the flora and the fauna, and just the birds alone. You really want to get into the rainforests. That's part of the beauty of it all. Plus, there's some amazing properties up in the mountains. So make it a 2-day trip. Don't all try to do it in one day. Stop and stay overnight and get to know the location and the people.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's a beautiful trip. You won't be, if part of it you can do by, bus, and the other half you do by helicopter. Believe it or not, helicopters are not all that expensive.
Really?
Yeah. They can be got at a very reasonable price, depending on the market.
How do you know all these people from all over in these places? Is this just because you've been to these places over the years, or your client says, hey, I want to go to the outback in Australia, and you just scope out the area and then go from there? Or do people come to you and say, where should we go, David?
It's usually two ways of doing it. Sometimes the client knows exactly where they want to go, and other times they want me to suggest. And a lot of the times when I'm suggesting, it's because of places that I've been already, and I already have a foothold. Some of the times there are places that they want to go, and I've never been before, and that's why I go.
Right.
I belong to several associations that allow me the luxury of going on what they call familiarization trips. and I get to see numerous ground operators, land companies that I want to work with. I mean, there are different kinds of ground operators around the world. Some just want to take tourists in big buses, So I have to find the one that wants to do the independent trip, that wants to celebrate their infrastructure, their people.
Do you have other people that work for you, or is it just you who handles it and then you find the people on the ground?
Well, the name of my company is David Lloyd Associates.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't actually have people that work for me, but I do have associates that I bring on as needed. Okay.
And I mean, it's so amazing of what you do here, how much you're able to do. I know it's only 2 to 3 trips you say a year, but it's an incredible amount of work to be able to pull this off. It's like putting together a huge wedding party, but traveling to foreign destinations, which is really incredible. I mean, and I know we talked about this a little bit at the beginning, but I mean, the world is a little different than it was 2.5 years ago. How do you navigate everything that's been going on with COVID to be able to get to these places?
Well, you brought up an incredibly good point. I think everybody who's going to be listening to this will have a story or have heard a story about people being stranded because the plane got canceled or the crew timed out and they've had to spend a night here or there, or their luggage went someplace else. And trust me, it is not easy out there. I mean, they are canceling flights, and it is difficult. Again, I would always choose to do private on your, maybe not your long hauls, but on your shorter flights. Again, your internationals are going to probably fly, take a nonstop, don't connect if at all possible. A private jet to Australia is going to be, $1.2 million just for the jet if it's a heavy.
Wow.
And I mean, that's a lot of money for like 6 people. So you take Qantas, take United, take American. They're going to go. They're going to fly those routes. On the other hand, if you're flying from here to L.A.,
it's not $1.2 million to fly private there.
No, no, it's not. And, private, you're going to get there. Same thing with like Florida.
Yeah. Do some of your clients, though, have their own private jets already?
Yes and no. We have, these days, a lot of the people that I work with have fractional ownership. Mm-hmm. So I work with their people to get the right, there's so many different airports you can fly into with private. Just trying to get the closest. So I work directly with the companies for the client.
I imagine that some of them may buy the supersonic planes that are going to be coming out in a few years.
Have you seen those?
Yeah, I saw that American just made an order. United has an order for them.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is a perfect type of product for what you need.
Oh, yeah. No, I'll get 2 of them. The irony is I chartered the Concorde many years ago.
Really?
Oh, yeah, back when they were still flying. And I was sort of amazed at the cost because I was really anticipating it being a lot of money, and it only came up to be about $175,000, which is what my client now pays every year when we take her to Italy. I always get her a jet, and it's about $175,000 for 3 weeks.
What was it like to fly in the Concorde?
Oh gosh, it was pretty nice. I mean, the irony is, here you have this Concorde. It was back in the day. It was like $12,000 for a ticket, one way to Paris, and even with that price tag, there are two classes on the Concorde. You had the front part of the Concorde, and you had the back part. Yeah. I just used to think, here you have this one aircraft that's like $12,000, and then you've separated that into 2 sections. So yeah, we're back in steerage on the Concorde. Yeah, that's an oxymoron or something.
A little bit, I think so.
Let's take a quick break to hear from our supporters.
When it comes to home warranties, getting the best contractor can be tough. That is because traditional companies limit your choices. A Chosa home warranty has the answer. Achosa Home Warranty believes that homeowners should be empowered to choose their own licensed technician for each repair or replacement project. When you select Achosa, you're ensured to prompt, reliable work to restore your home. As one of the country's leading home warranty companies, Achosa has set the industry standard for their positive customer claims process and performance. Reach out to Kim Bazillion at 847-975-6706 and mention SKEV50 for $50 off their Advantage or Advantage Plus plans. They look forward to protecting your budgets against costly repairs or replacements.
Moving day is a happy day, but how can you be sure all of your stuff will get to the new place in the same condition they left the old place? Upgrade your experience to First Class Moving and Storage. You'll get a team of professionals who treat all of your belongings with care and have the right tools to make the job go smoothly. They even offer a full packing service. Upgrade to First Class Moving and Storage. They're local and independently owned. For more info, visit the website at firstclassmovers.com. That's the number one, stclassmovers.com.
You do these different types of trips for families and individuals, but you also do corporate travel, right?
I mean, that's easy. I do incentive travel. I did a lot of incentive travel. Only did one or two of those programs a year. I like doing incentive travel for companies, and I'm good at it because I'm extremely creative. If I do say so myself. Sorry.
So that means basically people who may have won some kind of sales award or whatnot, you bring them on to this trip to motivate them.
Right.
How do you do that? Like, what type of trip would that be?
Well, let's see. The one I did the most recently was Key West for some clients. This was several years ago, obviously, back before. It was actually 2008. So I think you remember what happened then.
Oh, yeah, I do.
So, but we did a trip to Key West, and I had access to MiG fighter jets. And so the incentive was a long weekend in Key West with you can go up in a MiG fighter jet over, not quite Cuba, but, and that was very impressive. We did a lot of fun things on that trip. We did a lot of private diving and things, but the MiG jet, that was really the top,
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, the year before that we did Banff, Chateau Lake Louise, with heli skiing. That appealed to people. It was February. And before that, we did Casa de Campo in the Dominican Republic. And that was pretty much your Caribbean vacation. A lot of nice privatized sort of events.
Yeah.
Donkey polo. A lot of fun things.
Do you ever do like yacht tours?
Yacht tours.
Or do you take where it's not necessarily a cruise, but like where you're going on a ship?
Yeah. Well, for my clients, when I was in Australia, I picked out a yacht for them to take for 3 nights over New Year's. And you can imagine what that was like. They parked it. It was a beautiful yacht, by the way, one of the mega yachts. And they parked it in the middle of the Sydney Harbor so they could watch the fireworks on New Year's Eve.
Wow.
They had the best location. I mean, that was a really great thing that we did for them.
I imagine that have you been written up in different publications over the years of what you do, or is it because your clientele is more private that it doesn't really get publicized as much?
Unfortunately, I have been called by different. Cranes wrote me up years ago, but again, it's the type of thing where most of the publications that want to write me up want names, and because of what I do, I will not give out my clients' names, and I don't want the general public. They don't want the general public knowing what they do in their private time with their money. So no, I got a phone call from Forbes several years ago wanting to do a piece, and they wanted names, and I just wouldn't, give them names, and that was into that.
But I mean, a lot of times people do PR in order to get more business and whatnot, but I imagine you've got such a great connections with all these different people. It's like they're just calling you and you have everything put together. I mean, how many years out in advance do you have to book something with you?
Well, you can imagine now with COVID,
Yeah.
people have slowed down.
Okay.
I mean, my I did a large program at Christmas, this last Christmas, over that holiday. And that was pretty much the last thing. I've got really nothing going, little smaller things, but nothing really major right now. But it will pick up. I mean, when people decide it's safe to go back in the water, we'll see an increase.
Well, I imagine there would be. I mean, it's so specific for what you do, and I think that's actually that's a great thing that people have to focus on what they do best. And I mean, these types of trips are not for everybody, obviously. I think it's aspirational for me. I'd love to go on something like this, put it together. But it's, it's just so unique and amazing. And you brought some books here just to show me some pictures of different places that you've been. And it blows you away. And some of the philanthropy that you do, I mean, it's not like where you're just going there and, like you said, leaving your garbage and flying back. It's making a connection with the people on the ground, leaving something lasting that can help them, throughout. Maybe it's a school or a hospital or something like that is being left to the people there. Part of my Rotary Club, we were talking a little bit about this before we started recording. I'm part of a Rotary Club here in Evanston, and I recently. We had a meeting, and somebody who came and spoke to us, she started a school in Tanzania, and she went there, and felt that it was her mission for the Maasai people. And it's amazing what you can do if you just can gather the resources that you have access to, and the amount of change that it made for these people's lives. I mean, these are people who did not have proper nutrition whatsoever. Many of the men, stay inside the huts, which basically burn firewood, and they breathe in this smoke, and all the men die young because they're getting, probably lung cancer.
Right.
And, being able to teach the next generation on how to actually create a healthier society. And that's the kind of the things that you're doing.
Well, and I have multi-generational families. And the one thing that we've discovered is my trips are not for everybody. I mean, if you're very fulfilled in your life and in your philanthropic donations and how you feel about what you do with your money and your time, then then you choose the vacation you want.
Right.
But the kind of people I work with are, like I said, multi-generational. And you've got younger people who haven't quite figured out how to fulfill themselves. And my trips help them gain a little heart. They feel something when they've come home. They don't just come home to dry out or fix their hangovers. They come back feeling something inside. They feel like they've actually done something worthwhile and not just for themselves. It's an amazing transformation for young people, especially young people who may be inheriting a substantial amount of money. They all of a sudden realize the benefit to traveling and being philanthropic, because at the end of the day, they come back with more than they left with. I mean, they come back with a sense of feeling something. They feel like they've actually been good for somebody. They can see, like the book that I did on my clients building their school they built. Their kids can say, this is what we did. We left a part of ourselves there. We've helped generations of children get an education. And I mean, there's some feeling about that. I mean, it's a great feeling to know that you've helped somebody else.
Do you tie that back to your childhood, because your father was able to sell his business and you were able to travel and do that? I mean, do you think that was the sense of how you came into this?
Oh yeah, oh definitely. I mean, my father was a doctor, and he ran the mission hospitals in Madagascar for 8 years. And you see people who get healed that normally would have just died, and you understand the benefit that him being there was. I mean, they made a great decision. They went and they spent several years of their life giving of themselves, and it really makes you feel proud. I mean, I'm very proud of my parents for having done that. I'm very lucky to have been able to experience that kind of life as a child. I mean, I went to boarding school, but I still went home on holidays, and I could go to the hospital and I could see the people being healed. And I saw the difference that just a small amount of money made and a large amount of commitment by some people. And it made a difference in my life. And when I look at people here in this country, we have a lot of very wealthy people in the United States. And we have a lot of very lonely, very disillusioned, or very sad wealthy people in the United States. They keep looking for new and exciting things to make them feel better or different, and there's nothing like this. Nobody does this kind of work. And it's nice to have people come back from a trip going, let's do more. I want to do more of that. I really like how I feel right now. Mm-hmm. There's a high you get from helping others.
Yeah, there definitely is. And it's a good drug to get on.
Well, and you're involved with Rotary.
Yeah.
Rotary, hello, that's just, they are the ones who started in a big way fighting, what was it, polio?
Polio, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great organization.
It is a great organization. I mean, I think it's, in many ways, it's trying to do what you do by connecting with the different clubs around the world and trying to do service projects, whether it be locally, like here in Evanston. We focus on food security, but there's different programs for clean water in different places around the world, Central America, Africa, wherever it may be, to try to help. It's one global community.
Yes.
And I think by traveling and seeing that, it connects you with that. And like you're saying, leaving a lasting memory, leaving the school there, you're impacting generations of people. It's incredible.
And we've donated to numerous orphanages. We spent a day at an AIDS orphanage in South Africa one year. And I mean, it just made a big difference in the third generation of the family I work with. I mean, they really came back with a feeling of, wow, now I understand what's going on. This is a while ago, but that was great. We built a well baby clinic. Just a lot of good money spent in good ways.
Mm-hmm. What would you say is your most favorite trip that you've ever gone on, taken?
Oh, gosh. That's impossible.
Or a couple.
I have to say, I think one of the best trips I ever did was I did a bat mitzvah in Israel for a client. And it was it was a long time ago. It was in 2009. And it was the most important trip because of the different kinds of donations we did and how we worked the program. And I was working with an excellent ground crew in Israel, and we did a sunrise bat mitzvah on the top of Masada on the eastern edge. And we got in contact with an orphanage that had a choir. And as the sun was rising, 50 children in these long white T-shirts came out from behind the rocks and ruins singing as the cantor came out from a doorway of another ruin. And I mean, there wasn't a dry eye.
Oh my God.
I mean, the place was up for grabs, and we hadn't done any decorating. I mean, we had just left it exactly how it was. We just put chairs in. But I mean, that was just a moment of sheer joy. we donated a substantial amount to that orphanage, which I thought was a very, very nice part on the clients. I mean, I had never said the amount that I thought was right, and they overshot the amount that I had in my mind by hundreds of thousands.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was very, very happy about that. That evening, we did a dinner out in the Sea of Galilee, and they had run a rubber tape through the water. And at a certain time when it was totally dark, and of course I made sure that it was a moonless night, and we had chartered this wonderful dinner barge, and we had a little miniature orchestra. And at a certain time, they forced water through this strip that's laying in the water, and a mist goes into the air. And then from the other side, there was a boat that projected slides of this young girl's life from the beginning to 13. And as their orchestra's playing, is this the little girl I carried? I mean, it was just a very wonderful sort of thing. So they're on the boat looking at this screen in the mist, it was very exciting.
That's another level.
Yeah, totally different level.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but the whole program itself was just amazing. I was very proud of it. Had good people to work with, and of course, my clients, who I to this very day think are some of the best people I've ever met in my life. They had a lot to do with it.
Well, I mean, who came up though with those concepts? I mean, was that you or the people on the ground that you worked with, or was it your clients? I mean, the idea of a slideshow in the mist.
Oh no, the client knew absolutely nothing.
Oh, it was all surprise.
Oh yeah, no, the client never told me what to do.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it was always my ball game. They got.
You're so creative.
Well, that's part of my job.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Wow.
These books,
You're
I
an
have
artist.
a writer. I give them the itinerary. They write the books. So the client gets a virtual and a hard copy, sort of a coffee table kind of book before they go. And in it, I don't necessarily explain everything that's happening because we need some surprises.
Yeah.
I did a program to a safari for the client in South Africa, and we were driving across the Victoria Falls Bridge from Zimbabwe to Zambia, or vice versa. I don't remember which direction we were going, but I had the bus stop in the middle of the bridge, and they had to bungee jump off the bridge. And I didn't tell them. This was just, because I thought if they angst over this, if they spent weeks, tormenting themselves whether they should or should not do this, it would never come off. But if they were just, okay, you're jumping. And this best part of this story is that I got a photograph of my client as he jumped off the bridge. And at this time, he was the chairman of the board of a large corporation. And we were able to send the photograph to his secretary, who then gave it out to all the board members. And so when he walked into the boardroom a week after he got back, he had a standing ovation. I got a phone call the next day from him saying, I don't care what you do to me. I will, you can do whatever you want. I owned that room when I got back. So, yeah, there's a few surprises that I like to pull out of my sleeve, but they're never deadly, I hope.
You hope. Oh my God. It's wow. It's pretty incredible what you do, and I really would love to take a trip of yours. It's amazing. I gotta get on one. If people want to learn more and connect with you, where should they go?
Oh, well, it's just David at davidlloydtravel.com or www.davidlloydtravel.com. Or I'm here in Evanston, unfortunately, I do not have a walk-in office. I have an office, but it's really a mess. So it's like, I don't want anybody coming there. But yeah, no, they can just reach me at, www.davidlloydtravel.com, and my phone number is listed.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I hope people call, and I think that if you know somebody who's looking for a trip like this, and maybe it's not you, but somebody you know, forward this episode to them and tell them about David, because I've never heard of anyone who does anything like you do. And I think it's just once in a lifetime opportunities of creations that you put on. And it's just amazing. So I'm so grateful that I got this opportunity to learn about what you do and be able to share it with the audience.
I really appreciate this time, and I love this show. I've been listening to several back issues, and really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Hi, I'm Aaron Masliansky, longtime Skokie and Evanston resident, host of Inside the Skev, and local real estate expert. As a community connector and realtor with Dreamtown Realty in downtown Evanston, I know firsthand what makes the Skev such an amazing place to live. When I'm helping my clients buy and sell properties inside of the Skev or out, I'm doing it with the best technology and support team behind me at Dreamtown. During the pandemic, I've been able to help my clients seamlessly stay on track with their home search. From immersive 3D Matterport tours, professional photos, to virtual open houses, my clients can find their homes safely and comfortably, and even from their couch. When you're ready to make a move, know that I'll be here to help. You can always find out more about me at skevinston.com/real estate. Again, that's skevinston.com/real estate, or email me at aaron@skevinston.com.